around 125 million people continue to be exposed to asbestos in the workplace.
So there's a big cost to humans using asbestos in dollars and lives.
Research that goes into these decisions has to be directed by independent, unconflicted scientists.
It's not something that just affects workers, it affects everyone.
Saving one life is great, but saving many more is what I hope to accomplish.
Making a profit off of people's pain and lives is wrong.
We can't quit, not as long as there are hundreds of thousands of people still to be diagnosed.
Ban the asbestos once and for all.
Next up, we have Marilyn Amento, one of our longtime Meso warriors.
Good morning, fellow warriors. As you know, my name is Marilyn Amento. You may not know my story. My husband died from being environmentally exposed to asbestos, and he was the wonderful father of Julie and Joe, and they were 8 and 10 when he passed away, and he was the best guy, best husband, best dad. Oh, I have to hit this little thing, don't I? But I want to tell you something. I've been around ADAO so long that I knew Linda when she was shy. She used to come up here and I'm so nervous, you know. I said, Linda, just slow down. And now it's like all memory, you know. And she hooked on to me in 2003 when we met online through the ACOR, Association of Cancer something Resources, bunch of listservs, and I met Linda online in 2003 when I was trying to find out what's mesothelioma, and that's when I met Linda, and Alan had just been recently diagnosed. Unfortunately, my husband passed, you know, within 6 months of being diagnosed. So, another little story that people don't know about me is I'm a divorced ex-nun. I got thrown out of the convent, and it's my claim to fame. Private message me. Okay, so yes, we were at the first conference, and there's so many wonderful people in this photo. Unfortunately, many aren't with us anymore. And prominently in the far left, in the back, is that handsome Alan Reinstein. Wonderful, wonderful man, and he's the reason why we're all here today, really. I had my Aunt Marion was there, my husband's Aunt Marion. Of course, Emily, Joey, Julie, they kind of grew up together. And the people from Libby, Montana were there, and the Jim Fight is there with the White Lung Association. And of course, Dr. Lemon and Barry Castleman, and then way next to Dr. Lemon back there is Doug Larkin, the late, great Doug Larkin. And Kim was there as well. And let's see. Here's another picture. I don't know how many of you know Jill Vaughn from Texas. Yeah, a few people know. Jill was really responsible for the ACOR listserv, and she kept the mesothelioma listserv going. And in fact, when Jill passed away, the listserv kind of like died. Because some people don't like ADAO, if you can manage that. We're like in a competition, but why? You know, I don't understand why, because we should all be working together for the good of the patients, the good of, you know, asbestos victims. And of course, handsome Alan in the front. Man, he was a great guy, a really great guy. Linda, you and I haven't aged a day. Not a day. So these are some of the ADAO volunteers we have lost over the years, some more recently than others. And of course, Alan was the president of ADAO until he passed in 2006. In fact, it was, we had the 2006 conference in New York, and Alan passed like a month or two later. And he was wonderful though at the conference, and he gave a wonderful speech, and just a great guy. Then we have, of course, the late, great Doug Larkin, who was very passionate about this organization. And when he was diagnosed with ALS, I mean, we were all just devastated. And he fought his way to come here. And then, you know, he has a little 2-year-old son, and ALS takes him. And then Jill and Bud Vaughn. Jill was the one who was, we used to call her Jilly Poo online. She was down in Kemah, Texas. And she was like the mother. She was like everybody's mentor. She mentored Linda. She mentored me, you know, anybody that we knew on the listserv. And Jill had meso like forever. But she also had like 5 other diseases. And she just couldn't keep battling them all. So she eventually passed. And then recently we lost our administrative assistant for ADAO, who really had no connection to asbestos except he's a neighbor of Barry Castleman's. And then he dedicated his life to this organization, even though he had no personal loss from this organization, you know. So Herman recently passed, not from meso. And then, of course, there's Paul Ziegelbaum, who helped us many years ago when we were doing product testing on crayons and tape and those kinds of things. And Paul fought very, very hard, and he had the Keytruda, and we really thought that, you know, he did. He kind of rose from his deathbed, and then, you know, he finally saw that it wasn't happening, and he just passed like about 2 months ago. So rest in peace, all of you guys. Now, over the years, we've had all these conferences, and you meet so many people. And so many people touch you in so many ways. But in 2010, we're walking along the hallway, and there's this guy being pushed in a wheelchair by his wife, and he's got this pink shirt, and he's flirting with everybody, you know. And so we got to talking to him. Anyway, he was a patient of Dr. Hetty Kindler in Chicago, and he was just so excited. He wanted to present her with her award. And, you know, he could barely breathe, he could barely walk. And in fact, I ran across a video of him where Sue Ann had interviewed him back in 2010. And, you know, it was like a 45-minute interview, and this guy could barely breathe. And he passed about 2 months after our conference. So it's just wonderful just to remember this. He's just a sweet guy. Now, I want you to take a picture of this slide. I don't see anybody reaching for their phones. The reason I want you to take a picture of this slide is because in preparing for this today, I came across all these videos. All these videos. Every conference, every year that we come to this conference, we probably get interviewed. Many of us volunteers get interviewed again and again and again. And of course, all the conference speeches that we've ever given anybody. Now, well, how many years have we been videotaping? Like 14 years video? 13 videotaping years? Okay. So there is so much information on this page. Share this information with your neighbors. You know, high-risk occupations, firefighters, plumbers, teachers, who would have thought? And the early warning signs of the disease, how to prevent. Of course, we want to ban. And some presentations that we did, the Ambler Borough, I'm from Ambler, Pennsylvania, the former asbestos capital of the world. It's outside of Philadelphia. That's where my husband was exposed. There were 5, 6 asbestos factories in this little 1/8 of a mile square town. With a railroad track and a little waterway going through. And so the asbestos was just in the air. So we still have White Mountains in Ambler. We just finished another Superfund site. And right across from the Superfund site that closed in 1994, right across the street was another asbestos landscape that the EPA did not fix. So what do you think you'd do with that landscape? Let's put a 115-unit condo complex in with an in-ground pool. So we were trying to educate the Ambler Borough Council, and we just brought a team in. We had a doctor from University of Penn, and Brent spoke, and Linda spoke, and I think it was useful for our council. But anyway, that's just an example of some of the stuff that we did. That was not videotaped. And then just last week, Jill and Penny were on television in their local area. So these are ways that we raise awareness. I mean, just look at how many people we exposed to our message on Friday. We were walking along, people are looking at our signs. Everybody looked at our signs. You couldn't not look at them. So even if just for a second they saw that asbestos is deadly, it just plants a seed. Now, if we could just plant a seed in the guy in the White House, you know, that would be really amazing. Thanks, Jill. That was great. Yeah, I don't know back. So, actually, you can't see it at the bottom because there's some kind of a footnote there, but you have to look for Warren Zevon's last interviews with David Letterman. David Letterman gave him a whole hour on his show, and it's in 4 parts, and Jordan showed a little bit of it yesterday, and because he was very jovial about it, but it's just very interesting because this man he died shortly after my father, my husband, and but you can't see the link there, I'm sorry, so you'll have to just Google it, you know. Let's see, do I have anything else? Oh, and what do I call this organization? I always call this organization the silver lining. Asbestos, mesothelioma, the black cloud. Who would think that we would all come together and have a blast together? Who would think? But that's what this organization's about. We deal with the deadly, but we know how to come together as a community, embrace each other, carry each other, and hope to come back again next year because we always have fun here. God bless you all.